to another episode of Saturday Night Horror. Tonight we're going to be watching a movie that I haven't seen in a few years, but I really enjoy it. It's become one of my favorite horror / sci-fi movies, which is funny because it wasn't always that way. Tonight we were watching Man vs. Beast, Hunter vs. Mercenary, Arnold versus an intergalactic killer. Tonight we were watching Predator. Now Predator, man, when I was a kid, I refused to watch the whole thing because it grossed me out. There are scenes in the movie where we see the aftermath of what's left of the Predator's victims, and we find out he actually skins them alive, and it would show their bodies hanging from trees with all the skin removed. And as a kid, that would gross me out. Remember the first time I ever saw a clip from Predator was when I was living in Italy. They were watching it in the living room, and I happened to walk in right before they showed the skinned bodies, and I saw that. It grossed me out, and I didn't want any part of Predator. Did not want to watch it at all. Years later, as I grew and matured, I realized how badass it was, and I watched the whole thing, and I've loved it ever since. It's, like I said, one of my favorite movies, so go figure. Not the best introduction to Predator, but as the years went on, I realized how awesome the movie was, and I enjoyed it. This movie actually, to me, the first Predator is the best one in the entire franchise. Predator 2 wasn't bad, but it just didn't feel like a Predator movie to me, if that makes any sense. Then we have Predators, which was, the less said about that, the better. Then we had the reboot a few years ago, which was, oh lord, that was just as bad too. So yeah, this first Predator is the best one in the franchise to me. This first movie also gave us legendary sound bites. We had sound bites from Jesse Ventura, well, his "I ain't got time to bleed," and then he had another one about a sexual tyrannosaurus, which I'm not going to repeat, because we live in a world where people are easily offended, and someone will get offended by it and report the video, and I don't feel like dealing with that mess. So yeah, definitely check it out. We also got classic sound bites from Arnold. Of course, we have the "Come on, kill me! I'm right here! Do it now!" Then we got the one at the very beginning, "You son of a bitch!" And the ultimate, classic, legendary Arnold soundbite from this movie, "Get to the chopper!" So plenty of sound bites from this movie. Oh man, it's gonna be a fun night. As far as cooking goes, I'm keeping it very simple tonight. I'm gonna be making Hamburger Helper, because if I'm gonna watch an intergalactic alien killer turn people into chunks of hamburger, we might as well eat hamburger. So it fits. It's a match made in heaven. Watching an alien turn people into chunks of Hamburger Helper, works for me. So with that being said, we're going to go out to the kitchen, we're going to get the cooking started, and then we're going to go out front and watch our movie. So I'll see you out in the kitchen.
Let's go out to the kitchen. Let's go out to the kitchen. Let's go out to the kitchen and have ourselves a snack.
And here are the ingredients for Hamburger Helper. As you can see, not a lot at all. Of course, we have our hamburger meat here. We have 2 boxes of the pasta. Usually you're supposed to use 1 piece of meat in 1 box. I like more pasta than meat, so I use 2 boxes of pasta. We have milk, and we'll also be using water. So there you go. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is cook the meat. And the pan has been heating up this entire time, so it won't take too long, maybe a few minutes. And if you've seen any episode of Saturday Night Horror where I'm cooking meat, you'll know that I like to chop it up as small as possible. I absolutely despise huge chunks of meat, so I'm going to be chopping this up just like this the entire time this meat is cooking. So like I said, shouldn't take too long, maybe a few minutes because the pan is hot. Alright, the meat is done cooking, and I'm going to drain all that grease out of it. Definitely do not want the grease. Alright, the grease has been drained, and we're ready to continue with the process here. So first thing we're going to do is add our water. There we go. Okay, now that we've got our water, we're going to have to add milk. So we're going to add our milk to this as well. There we go. Alright, now it's time to add the actual ingredients from the box. So the first thing we're going to do is add the sauce, or the pasta sauce that was in the box. Got one more. There we go. Like I said, I like to have more pasta than meat, so I always use 2 boxes of pasta, and the ratio turns out perfectly for me. So there's our first box of pasta, and I'm sorry my voice is cracking. Yeah. Alright, there we go with the pasta. And basically all we're going to do is mix this up really well. Turn down the heat and let it cook until all this liquid has been absorbed into the pasta. And my voice is really cracking, good lord. Yeah, so we're just going to mix this up. Turn down the heat, put a cover on this pan, and let it cook. Alright, everything is mixed up. Look at that, that's going to be good. So we'll put the lid on. Turn the heat down, and we'll come back and check on this from time to time. It usually takes a little while to cook and get all that liquid absorbed into the pasta. Alright, so it's been a little while. We're going to check and see how it's doing. And when I check it, I also just like to stir it around, because if you leave it for too long without stirring it, the pasta will stick to the bottom of the pan. So whenever I come to check on it, I'm just going to, stir through it, make sure there's nothing stuck at the bottom of the pan. Not quite done yet, so we'll let it cook a little bit longer. Alright, it's finally done. Took about 20 minutes because I turned the heat down to 3. But yeah, I think that's I'm gonna call it and say she's good to go. It's gonna be some good eating tonight. Alright, we've got our food. Now we need something to drink. So we're gonna head out in the garage and we'll see what we have. Now, if you've watched Saturday Night Horror before, you already know. But I like to make this trip down here anyway. See, it's nice and dark outside. Yes, sir. Alright, let's go down here. Head to the fridge. Let's get our mandatory Jurassic Park poster shot. There we go. And I know, it's been 2 weeks. I promise I'm going to put the handle back on the fridge. I promise. We have our ice cold Coca-Cola. It doesn't get any better than ice cold, crisp, refreshing, straight out of the fridge Coca-Cola. Now can I get back in the house? Alright, let's put our Coke up. Say goodbye to the garage. We got our food, we've got our Coke. Let's go out front and watch our movie. Alright, here we are. Predator. Definitely looking forward to watching this. As I said, it's been one of my favorites, so let's turn the last light in the house off. Alright, all the lights in the house are off. We're good to go with Predator. Should be a fun night. Alright everyone, we're back. The movie is over and it was a fun night. As you can see, I have a special guest with me. This is Tiger. Y'all know him very well. Say hi, buddy. Tiger says, I just want to go to sleep. But yeah, Predator was awesome. As always, I always enjoy this movie when I watch it. And as I said before, it's my favorite in the franchise. The funny thing about Predator is Jean-Claude Van Damme was actually supposed to play the Predator, and it didn't work out. He was fired from the movie, and there are different stories going around as to what actually happened, and all of them are hilariously ridiculous. There's a story that he got mad because you wouldn't be able to see his face, so he quit. There's another story, hey buddy. There's another story where he wouldn't stop kickboxing. He kept doing kickboxing maneuvers in the Predator costume, and he actually wanted the Predator to be a kickboxing alien. I hope that's not true, because if it is, Jean-Claude, you're an idiot for that one. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Jean-Claude fan, but I think we can all agree it worked out for the best that he was not a part of this movie. We got a badass Predator movie. Jean-Claude went on to have an awesome career, so it all worked out. But this movie, man, first of all, the setting, that thick, unforgiving jungle setting, it just kind of makes you feel hopeless, because you're in this jungle, you don't know how you're supposed to get out, you're not familiar with it. It's just, it's kind of foreboding. You're being hunted by something that, for the most part, you can't see. You're in a jungle that you're not familiar with. It's kind of a hopeless situation, so I kind of like that setting. The Predator itself, the look of the Predator was awesome, which is a far cry from what it was supposed to be. There are pictures online of the original Predator outfit, and it is, oh my god, it's horrible. So I'm definitely glad they changed that and went with the current look we have now. Another thing I liked about this movie is, excuse me, Arnold, you gotta understand, Arnold Schwarzenegger, this movie was out in '87. That time, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the biggest action star in the world. All of his movies consisted of him getting his hands on as many guns as possible and just shooting everybody until the conflict in the movie was resolved. That's what they tried to go for with this one. Of course, he's using his guns, but the guns have no effect on the Predator alien. So for once, Arnold's character could not rely on guns to solve the problem. He actually had to use his combat training, and his intelligence to set up traps, make a plan of attack. He couldn't just run in with 58 guns blazing and that's the end of the movie. And I like that. I like that Arnold's character had to use some kind of intelligence and couldn't just run in blasting and blowing everything up. I don't know why, but I liked that. The movie itself, gore-wise, it's not too bad. It traumatized me as a little kid seeing this bodies with all the skin peeled off, but looking back at it now, it's not too bad. So if you're worried about huge amounts of gore, it's got its moments, but other than that, not too bad at all. One thing that they really didn't answer in this movie was why the Predator was there. We see at the beginning of the movie, the mothership drops off the single ship, the Predator flies down to Earth. We never find out why it's there in the jungle, or why it's hunting everyone down. It just kind of shows up. Which, at that point in time, I really didn't mind because it was a badass movie. But yeah, overall, Predator, awesome movie. You can never go wrong with it. Well, you are spoiled today. He's up here purring. You can't go wrong with Predator. If for some reason you have not seen it, please do yourself a favor and check it out. It is definitely worth your time. You won't really be missing anything by skipping the other ones in the franchise, especially the last two. They were just god awful. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for this week's episode. Predator was awesome. All-star cast. We had, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger. We had Bill Duke, who was hilarious in this movie. Bill Duke did not like the Predator at all. Bill Duke would have fought it hand-to-hand if he could. We had Carl Weathers, who, Lord forgive me, every time I see Carl Weathers, I'm like, oh, it's Apollo Creed. We had Shane Black, who, I could be wrong, I think it might have been the same Shane Black who wrote Lethal Weapon, I'm not sure. We had Sonny Landham, who unfortunately has passed away, and we had Jesse Ventura, who I've never cared for. So, kind of a who's who heavy hitter cast. As we all know, Arnold is pretty much the only one to survive because he's freaking Arnold. But yeah, definitely check out Predator. It's an awesome movie, definitely worth your time. And I think that's going to do it for us. What do you think, Tiger? Think that's it, buddy? He says, I don't care, man. Wrap it up. Alright, everyone. So, appreciate y'all watching. Hope you enjoyed this episode. And we will see you next week for the next... Where you going? For the next episode of Saturday Night Horror. Y'all have an awesome rest of the weekend. Have an awesome week. We'll see you next time. Y'all take care. Say bye, Tiger.